And just being in Chicago and the policies that has allowed the influx of migrants in our community, while we have a vice president who claimed that she arrested and locked up transnational gangs, yet the policy of her party that she support inundate our communities with criminals that come from these countries that we don't even know where and who
where
and
they're
what
coming from, who they are. And I want to talk about what you're seeing, because I think this is the kind of headline that a lot of Americans around the country read and say, oh, that's too bad for their city, but it won't happen in mine. Well, now it's in Chicago.
It's in Chicago.
So what are you seeing?
So what you're saying is, what they need to understand is violence anywhere is violence everywhere. And I said when they first came in that the mixture and the blending of the gang cultures will be a toxic mix. And what I mean is, once these members learn the city and they use the resources of our tax dollars and revenue to buy cars and to buy guns and to set up drug operations and prostitution rings in downtown Chicago, we're about to start seeing the beginning of hell in Chicago.
Yeah. I know the city spent nearly, what, $500 million on 42,000 migrants that have been here in the past few years. When you've sounded the alarm, you say the city's going to go up in flames.
Yes.
You even warn about bloodshed.
Yeah.
What exactly do you mean by that?
So,
I mean, at what point do we get to that boiling point?
Gang culture isn't the same as it used to be in the 80s and 90s, where you can identify one group or faction or leader that can then curb the violence or the incidents that may spill over into one gang community or territory. Now you have sects, cliques, cultures, and groups that now operate independently. Now, when you have all of these different fashions, it's like when you kill the queen bee, the nest or the wasp, it goes crazy. The nomads run wild, right? And then now you bring in a culture that don't speak the same language, that has a different concept of how to survive differently than we have. I actually say we have been pretty spoiled. These guys are serious and notorious criminals. The only other thing to do, it's really no association. It becomes fighting for meager resources and territory. They set up on these blocks and on these street corners and these abandoned buildings as a way of flagging, to say, hey, we're here, and this is a way we're going to identify ourselves.
And tell me, you're now using your past pain, your past wrongdoings to help other people, former gang members, inmates. So how are you using what you know to combat what you're seeing in the streets? Are you helping these Tren De Aragua? I mean, how do you go about the problem?
Our goal is really to educate the young men, at-risk youth, and the people in the community of how not to respond. And that's hard to do when we have limited resource to even touch the communities, right? And the biggest thing of all is that we're watching how our elected officials, how the policies of systemic disinvestment in Chicago and black people religiously voting for one party while the policies haven't created great solutions for that condition. So that's why when we started ex-cons for Trump,
I know. I was wondering where your shirt was today. You're usually donning something different than the suit.
This is how I like to dress every day. But the work don't allow us to be in the. I have to be in the community with the people.
And let me ask you about being in the community with the people. Do you feel threatened?
No, absolutely not. I've been in the street gang and been in the communities and seen violence all our life. And this is what we talk about. We talk about terrorism in other countries and fighting terrorism, while our government, this administration, in every major city allows the terroristic effects of violence to inundate our communities. And now you've allowed terrorists to come over in the name of migrants who we have no connection to, and our resources are going to serve them and not us.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.